Doing it live. All right. Frankie, Justin, how are you guys doing? Justin, what's that shirt say?
Trogdor the Burninator.
What the hell is that?
Have you never seen Trogdor the Burninator?
I've never heard of Trogdor the Burninator.
Little Trogdor. There was this old web cartoon called Homestar Runner.
Could you maybe get like a little further away from the mic? I'm only going fucking deaf trying to listen.
But now, am I better now?
A little better.
Anyway, yeah, Homestar Runner, web cartoon. Anyway, we're gonna talk about football, not my stupid shirt.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you wouldn't wear stupid shirts, we wouldn't have to talk about it.
My thing, all right.
Frankie rocking the Yankees gear.
Also a stupid
My
shirt.
shirt's easy to understand.
Yeah, Frankie, we need to get you a phone book so you can get on our level here.
Yeah, just hey, guys.
Nostril cam. All right. Let's talk a little bit of football. Where should we start? How about Chiefs 49ers? That was a pretty solid game. Chiefs undefeated. Are they going to go undefeated this year? I mean, you've been talking, Justin, about how they're not like they don't look as good as they have the last few years, but they just keep winning. Brock Purdy intercepted 3 times. And then we got, what's his name? Ayuk? Is that how you say it?
The Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, Ayuk with the knee injury. Sorry, I'm not familiar with their players. Niners having a tough year. Thoughts?
I mean, I don't think Chiefs are going to go undefeated. Niners are definitely banged up. They're missing Christian McCaffrey. Ayuk, they just paid $140 million to see his knee turn the opposite way it should go. So yeah, I mean, like the Niners I had high hopes for them early in the year, and now they're looking pretty pedestrian. I mean, they're not terrible, but they're going to have trouble beating good teams like the Chiefs. Now the Chiefs probably have looked the best they've looked all year, but Mahomes still looks pretty bad. I mean, he threw 2 picks, hasn't really been like clicking, like he hasn't gotten going. So they've been winning games with the running game, with the defense. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think the Chiefs go undefeated, but I do think they are definitely the best team in the NFL.
Frankie, do you think that maybe Mahomes has been a little distracted by watching his Royals lose to our Yankees in the division series there? He was talking a lot of smack there in the press box, and didn't work out too good for him.
If that's the reason, I hope so, and I'm very happy to hear that that's the reason. Watching the Royals get smoked by the Bronx Bombers.
What about Brock Purdy? Is he just kind of like a one-hit wonder? Is he, what are your thoughts on him?
It took me a long time to warm up to Brock Purdy. I thought for sure that he was just a system, just a part of Kyle Shanahan's system, that you could just stick any quarterback in there and, they'd be great. But, the more I've watched him, I think he's a really good quarterback. He's learned a lot. He's developed well. He just had a really bad game. He threw some terrible picks during this game, including one in the red zone that was just unconscionable. Even Brady was, ripping him during the broadcast. And Brady's a Niners fan. So to see him, ripping their quarterback was, quite surreal to see. I actually thought this game was super disappointing. I was so looking forward to watching these two teams face off, Super Bowl rematch. And just, here's a good stat. Mahomes and Purdy combined for 0 touchdowns and 5 picks. That's not what you expect from these two quarterbacks of this caliber. But Kansas City, they get the win there. It's an ugly 6-0, but it's 6-0. I don't think they're going to go undefeated. I just think right now, even though they're not playing great, Mahomes has more picks than touchdowns. The offense is really struggling to get it going. Here's the thing. Compare them to the Ravens, who we're going to talk about in a little bit. I have been impressed with the Ravens a couple times this year. I don't think I've ever been impressed with one Chiefs game this year. They have not wowed me at any time.
Well, they keep winning. I mean, who's going to knock them off, right? I mean, somebody's got to step up and knock them off.
It's the only stat that matters is wins.
Right, yeah. Wins. Exactly.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Ravens, though. They beat the Bucs 41-31. Ravens were up big early, but the Bucs mounted a comeback. Defense has not been great for Baltimore this year. Justin, you want to chime in on the Ravens and Bucs?
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens jumped all over the Bucs early. And for some reason, they just let them back into it. I mean, the Bucs got an onside kick. They started just moving the ball really well against that Ravens defense. I don't know if they took the night off after they were up so big. But the real story about the Ravens, and the Ravens defense has done this multiple times this year where they've given up a lot of points. But the real story of the Ravens is their offense. Their offense is pretty unstoppable, pretty potent. I mean, you're already worrying about Lamar Jackson's legs. Now you got to worry about him throwing the ball. He threw 5 touchdowns. I mean, the dude is insane. So it's like taking Michael Vick and putting Tom Brady with him. Like the passing has really been good this year. He's got Rashad Bateman. He's got Zay Flowers to throw to. Mark Andrews is starting to show life. And I think really the key to the Ravens offense this year has been the play of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has really found a resurgence after being kind of relegated to the Tennessee Titans so long. He is really playing well. It's a very good dynamic for the Ravens offense. Now you got to worry about Derrick Henry. You can't stack the box on him like you did in Tennessee. What do? Oh my God, here come the Ravens.
Yeah. Do you concur, Frankie? Derrick Henry just having a monster year.
It's just insane watching him at this age. I mean, I know he's not that old. He's only 30, but for a running back, he should be going down at
like 60.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely that. Like in running back years, that's like 72 years old.
Yes. Last night's game solidified 2 things for me: that the Ravens are the best team in the NFL. I know the Chiefs are undefeated, but to me, the Ravens are playing the best with that offense. And Lamar is the favorite right now, the consensus favorite for his 3rd MVP. Arguably he's playing better than we've ever seen him play. As we mentioned, with his arm, with his leg, he's doing it all right now. 5 touchdowns, just completely dominant. The offense, I mean, just adding Derrick Henry, it just seems kind of unfair. Remember when the NBA vetoed the Lakers trade that would have sent Chris Paul to the Lakers? David Stern vetoed that. I feel like Roger Goodell should have gotten involved here. It's unfair that Lamar Jackson gets Derrick Henry. It's just ridiculous. You just have this great generational quarterback. Oh no, yeah, let's throw one of the best running backs in the league with him. It's just, you got to be worried about the Ravens now with the quarterback and the running back. It's just scary to see. But yeah, they're a great team right now. And I also want to defend Todd Bowles a little bit. And I'm the first to criticize Todd Bowles after all the years he was terrible on the Jets. I don't blame him for sending Chris Godwin out there and keeping the starters on the field. They're only down 10. It's a minute to go. It's unfortunate that Godwin, had the injury that he did. He's going to be out for the year. But I don't blame him. You can't give up in that situation. You're only down 10. You get a touchdown or a field goal, and you're right back in the game. You're going to need another onside kick. But I can't blame him for not giving up there. But it's just unfortunate what happened. And now Tampa Bay, who was riding high, now they lose Evans for we don't know how long, and now they lose Godwin for the rest of the year. So things have turned sour there for Tampa.
Justin, you look like you had something to chime in there.
Yeah, I just want to add to the whole Lamar Jackson thing. His progression has gotten really good, and he's on the upswing. But the Derrick Henry addition reminds me a lot of when Randy Moss came over from the Raiders to the Patriots.
Yeah.
The star player coming off his, kind of like looking like he's washed up, looking like he's on his downswing, and then he gets new life when he comes to a winning team, and then they just dominate, right? So I mean, it's a lot like that. I think Henry was kind of sick of playing in Tennessee and never finding any room to run because they couldn't throw the ball downfield. They traded away AJ Brown, just kind of mail it in for the passing games. They didn't want to pay him. But yeah, the Ravens are looking probably the best of all the teams so far.
I was just going to say that the first year that I got to watch an entire NFL season all the way through was 2007. That was the year my uncle got Sunday ticket. So that was the first year I got to watch. So I got to watch every Patriots game. And that is still the best team I've ever watched. Just top to bottom.
Unbelievable. Still my favorite Super Bowl loss.
Yes, mine too.
Yes.
I was ecstatic as a 10-year-old. And I was a Jet fan at the time. But I was absolutely over the moon watching the Giants and Tyree and Eli win that Super Bowl. That was still one of the 2 or 3 best Super Bowls ever played.
I remember I was at Yankee Stadium shortly after that. It was 2008 in April, and they were selling Giants shirts outside the stadium that said 18-1. It was the Patriots record. I thought that was great.
Just beautiful.
So let's talk about the Seahawks. They blew out the Falcons 34-14. They're looking like possible NFC West favorites. Justin, you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you have to pick one team out of that division, right? The Niners are not looking great right now. They've got a lot of injuries. The Seahawks are probably the healthiest out of all of them. They're really up and down. I mean, they have good games and bad games. They did, after all, lose to the Giants. But, they took care of the business with the Falcons. They played well. Geno Smith's looking good again. Running game is really working well, and the defense held that Falcons offense to just 14 points.
Yeah. Frankie, are they the favorites?
Maybe it's weird for me to say this, especially the fact that they're 3-4 and they have a bunch of injuries. I still think the Niners are the best team. I'd still have to say that they're the favorites, barely. If it was like a 2 or 3 game deficit, I might feel differently, but it's only one game, just a couple moves here and there. And I think they're going to get a little bit healthier with every game. So I still expect San Francisco to win its division. But Seattle has played, that was a big bounce back. It was a strange game going in because Seattle had lost 3 in a row. Atlanta had won 3 in a row. And then the game is played and they go completely opposite directions. Atlanta just was bad from the jump. Kirk Cousins was destined for a bad performance, and we've been waiting for it. He got it. Kenneth Walker with a couple touchdowns. The flu game for him. We weren't sure he was going to play, and then he has the solid performance that he did. So nice win there for Seattle, getting back on the right track.
So we got a live comment. Joseph says, "Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? How you doing?
Good morning."
Just a little proof that we're live and we actually have a viewer.
Yeah, we did it!
All right. Yeah.
We made it!
All right.
So Adrian, we did it!
Packers beat the Texans 24-22. Last second field goal by McManus. Texans potent passing game shut down by the Packers defense. Just 96 yards for Stroud. Frankie, you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, good win there for Green Bay. I was shocked at how bad Houston looked because they've been one of the better teams in the AFC, and that was just the worst performance C.J. Stroud has had by far. I mean, not all his fault. The Texans' offensive line is really struggling to protect him. You hope that, he's a talented quarterback. You hope that Houston is able to rectify that in the future because you want to see him behind a good offensive line and not scrambling for his life every play. Good win there for Green Bay. Jordan Love, another weird Jordan Love game in which he starts off the game, he throws a horrible interception. And then later on in the game, he throws 2 amazing touchdowns. Like, it's the Jordan Love experience. He is Brett Favre. He's the second coming of Brett Favre for Packers fans. He's got that gunslinger mentality, and it's fun to watch. And it might not be the easiest to enjoy if you're a Packers fan. You might sit there every minute going, "Oh, just stop with the turnovers." But he's a fun quarterback to watch, and he's obviously very talented. So big win there for Green Bay, and obviously McManus. Packers have been waiting for a field goal kicker for a while now, and they got it with McManus kicking the game winner there in Green Bay.
What do you think, Justin? Do the Packers have Favre reincarnated?
I mean, as long as he's not sending pics to like reporters and stuff. I mean,
Of his crooked penis.
But
yeah, I mean, it's they look good. I don't know if he's the second coming of Favre or Aaron Rodgers or whatever, but it is kind of funny how the Packers seem to always click the right button when it comes to drafting a quarterback, right? And it's funny because it happens the same way. They draft a quarterback. The starting quarterback gets all butthurt about it, and then he leaves, and he's pouting and stuff. And then the new guy's like, "Yep, all right, let's get to business," right? I mean, it happened with Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and now it's happening with Jordan Love. Packers just know what to do. I think other teams really need to take note of how they're doing this because a lot of teams, they'll draft a quarterback and just throw him out to the wolves right away. And sometimes it works, like you see with C.J. Stroud, and sometimes it does. Well, most of the time it does not work.
Right. So a couple other things to just get through here before we move on to the New York teams. Lions knocked off the Vikings from the undefeated ranks, 31-29. Goff, 73.6% completion on the season. Deshaun Watson blew out his Achilles, and Tua could be coming back. Justin, you want to take which one of those do you want to jump on first?
I'll just touch on the Lions real quick. I mean, they're another one of those teams that are starting to look more and more like a contender for the Super Bowl. Jared Goff has been excellent this year. The Rams kind of sold their soul for a Super Bowl win, and I mean, if you're the Rams, you probably take that. But seeing Goff have all this success after he leaves the Rams has got to hurt a little bit when you got Stafford kind of struggling now. But yeah, I mean, they beat the Vikings, who had been undefeated before this, squeaked it out, but the offense looked great. Defense is a little suspect now that Aiden Hutchinson is going to be out for the year. That's huge to have with that pass rush not being there. But overall, I mean, the Lions look really, really good.
So Joseph says that the Lions are the best team in the league. That should take us to our power rankings that we've got. Justin, did you put these together, or was that you, Frankie, who put the power?
I did.
All right, let's roll through it, and I'll let you and Frankie bounce this off each other because I haven't been watching enough. I've been so consumed with the Yankees that I haven't put any power rankings together. But why don't you walk us through?
All right, yeah. Number one, we got the Chiefs. Like I said, the only stat that matters is wins.
100%.
And you get to be number one if you're undefeated, even if you don't look that great. So that's my thing. What do you think, Frankie? What do you think about that number one pick there?
Yeah, I can't argue with it. Even though, as I said, I don't know that the Chiefs have been playing all that well. They haven't been playing to their potential. It just seems like they're kind of just coasting right now until they get to the postseason. But I'm okay with it.
All right, number 2, Vikings, 5-1. I would kind of batted around having the Ravens here, but they're 5-2. They've been up and down. Their defense is not looking great. Vikings have a better defense, but the Ravens have the better offense. So either one, you could kind of flip them around 2 and 3. That's kind of a tie. Lions, number 4. They're 5-1. I think that them and the Vikings playing, that's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough game. I can't wait for that to happen. Number 5, Texans at 5-2. Commanders at 5-2 at number 6. They just lost Aiden Daniels. I don't know for how long. He had a rib injury. Killed my fantasy team. Bills at 5-2 at number 7. They looked really good. They got Amari Cooper now, so they have somebody like number 1 receiver to throw to. Packers look really good with their defense. Number 8. Steelers just completely annihilated the Jets. We'll talk about that. Number 9. And then Bears at number 10. They didn't play this week, but I have high hopes for Caleb Williams and the Bears. Too bad they play in that division with the Vikings and Lions.
So just running through your top 10, Chiefs, Vikings, Ravens, Lions, Texans, Commanders, Bills, Packers, Steelers, and the Bears in at number 10. Frankie, are you kind of in alignment on those?
The bottom half of the list I'm fine with. 2, 3, 4, I would actually move the Ravens to 2, and I would move the Lions to 3, just on the basis of, as I mentioned, I think Baltimore is playing the best right now of those teams, but they're not undefeated, so I can't give them number 1. And then with the Lions beating Minnesota, I really think that they're better than. I think the Lions right now are the best team in the NFC. They're just, even without Aiden Hutchinson, yes, you have to worry about that, but I think all around right now, they're just a great team, and as we mentioned, Goff is just playing out of his mind right now.
And Joseph points out that the Lions just beat the Vikings at their ballpark or their stadium without their best player. So
no question, huge win, but they did give up 29 points. And my concern with Aiden Hutchinson is it also impacts your secondary, because if the quarterbacks now have time to throw the ball, your secondary has to defend longer, and now the guys are going to get open, right? Yeah. So we'll see how that goes throughout the year. It might not affect them at all, but having an effective pass rush, as we saw with Seattle during their Legion of Boom years, you really got to have that, because they made Richard Sherman look like an all-world player, right? Yeah. I mean, Sherman was good, but he wasn't at that good, right? So having somebody in your quarterback's face all the time so he throws wounded ducks so your DBs can pick them up is a great thing to have.
So let's talk a little bit about the Jets. Now that we are through the NFL, we'll get to the dregs of the barrel there. They did trade for Devontae Adams, but they got blown out by the Steelers and Russell Wilson. Rodgers had 276 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. I heard a lot of commenters just say that he's looking old. I didn't watch the game. I can't watch the Jets, man. They're just so bad. Like, I'm not gonna spend my time doing that right now. And they're still throwing the ball a lot more than they're running. Any thoughts on the Jets' miserable performance, Frankie?
Oh God, what just dreadful. That's my main talking point. First of all, Devontae Adams, who so badly wanted to get away from his 2-5 Raiders team. So where does he end up? On a team that's 2-5. So go figure there. Congratulations, Devontae. Brilliant move there. This was just a pitiful performance from the last 4 weeks have been pitiful. As we mentioned, Rodgers, yes, he looks old. I mean, he's 40, but you would expect that as someone with his talent, you would expect that they would that he would be playing a little bit better than this. But yeah, I didn't think he was terrible against Pittsburgh, but he certainly has not been great. He's certainly not been what the Jets brought him here for. So he's been a disappointment there. The defense has really stepped down. I mean, maybe Robert Saleh wasn't all the problem. I mean, that was maybe Woody Johnson exactly. There's a lot of other issues the Jets had that didn't just have to do with Robert Saleh. And I'm not saying Saleh was blameless here. The team was undisciplined. The offense wasn't clicking, but you just threw him to the wolves there when there's so many other issues. I just thought that was just ridiculous. And the body language of a 60-year-old. I mean, right now, definitely. That's what going to the Jets will do for you. And think about it. When Brett Favre came to the Jets, and it was a struggle, especially late. But at least he won games. He won. What were they? 7-3, and then he got hurt, and they ended up 8-8 and missed the playoffs. At least he was winning games. Rodgers isn't even doing that. And these are winnable games here against teams like a Pittsburgh team that's bringing back Russ in his first outing. These are winnable games. Denver, these are winnable games, and they just cannot get it done. So it's just been awful watching this. The defense has really underperformed, especially the offense. The kicker can't kick. Just so many mistakes here for the Jets. It's been awful to see them.
They're a bad football team. Justin, you want to weigh in on the Jets?
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, they probably should have traded for Russell Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Russell Wilson actually wants to play. I don't think it's that Rodgers is old. I think he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be anywhere. He wants to be on a beach somewhere. We saw it in the preseason where he was supposed to be a practice. The practice sessions there, like he didn't want to be there. He does not want to be there. So you see it in the body language. You see it in the blame game. He gets everything he wants. He gets the coach fired. He gets Devontae Adams. He gets every receiver you could possibly want, and he still sucks, right? The line is a part of the problem. I mean, he's not mobile enough to avoid some of the rushes they used. He's not as mobile as he used to be, right? That's the age part. But I think it's mostly mental. He doesn't want to be there. You could see it. So, I mean, have you ever seen Old Yeller?
Yeah.
Seen Old Yeller.
Like
got to take him out back behind the barn.
What happens at the end of Old Yeller? No spoilers, right? But right, Old Yeller, they put him down. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is Old Yeller at this point, right? Like, maybe you need to bench him. Maybe you need to put in the backup guy that actually wants to be there, that actually wants to play, that is actually going to take some responsibility for sucking, right? The kicker missing kicks, that's big. Zerline, they got to probably find a solution there. Maybe they got to get rid of Legatron there. The defense, they lost their identity when Salah left.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been bad since he left. I don't know if it's like a motivational thing or, they just don't care anymore, but they don't look nearly as good as when he was there. And really that kind of points to maybe you shouldn't have fired Salah. Maybe you should have fired the offensive coordinator and brought in somebody that was going to tell Rodgers to shut up and do what I tell you to do. And if you don't do what I tell you to do, you're going to be sitting on the bench and watching, right? They really letting him run the team. And it's like a LeBron James situation without the talent.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say it feels like Rodgers has this "I'm bigger than the team" mentality right now. Like you could tell that just from his body language, his pressers, like he feels like he's better than the team, right? So, and he's old, Yes. And you brought up a good point with Old Yeller. And it kind of bummed me out because I started thinking about all those dogs from like the 90s movies like Air Bud and Beethoven. They're all dead. Beethoven's second, all dead. Beethoven's third, probably all dead. So, anyway.
I didn't get to the sequels.
That's quite a tangent there. There's a stat out there called poor passes. And I guess that just means that's how many bad passes you've thrown. Aaron Rodgers leads the league in poor passes.
Over Daniel Jones?
He's ahead of Bo Nix at number 2.
Wow.
Caleb Williams at number 3. Dak Prescott at number 4. And then Matthew Stafford at number 5. Now Daniel Jones, he's only poor passes when you're like throwing him deep, right?
Deep.
Yeah, okay, fair.
Let's talk
2-yard slant, he's great.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Jones because he got his ass on the bench this week. The Giants absolutely crushed 28-3. Saquon Barkley's homecoming game. He had a pretty solid day, 176 yards and a touchdown. Did the Giants pay the wrong guy, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, watching Saquon Barkley come out and just completely destroy the Giants defense, it makes you really wonder, hey, maybe we should have paid Saquon. Because honestly, the Eagles didn't pay him that much. Like it was like 30-something million for 3 years. I mean, that's pretty good. For a guy that runs for 176 yards on a top-notch defense, right? Daniel Jones was atrocious. I've been defending him a lot of the year and giving him a pass. Not today. I mean, like he was, man, like, come on. Part of it is the sacks. He gets sacked 7 times. And I mean, that line, at the beginning of the year, you kind of had questions about it. Now the questions are answered. Yeah, they suck, right? So, I mean, what do you do at this point if you're the Giants? Do you go to the backup and just kind of like play it out the season and try not to worry too much about getting to the playoffs because it's probably not happening? But they really should have been a lot more competitive against this Eagles team, which isn't very good either.
Frankie, Giants, they look done. I mean, are they done? They got to be done, right?
I mean, I thought they were done before the year started. I didn't think this team had a chance of getting to the postseason, and that has now been locked on.
knows when the season's done. All right.
Exactly. Yes, you're aware of it. But this team, I didn't think at all they had the talent to do it. But now, especially, it's just, oh god, Daniel Jones. It's just, I'm trying to get my thoughts in order here. There are so many problems with this team. It is not just Daniel Jones, even though he's the leading cause of it. I mean, letting Saquon Barkley go, we've talked ad nauseum how terrible of a decision that was. And he made them pay for that. I mean, what was it that John Mara said he had trouble sleeping at night if Saquon Barkley was an Eagle? I imagine that John Mara got zero sleep on Sunday night as he watched Saquon just torch the Giants at home. It was just so, and yes, there's a bunch of problems. The offensive line, which we thought had really stepped up their game, just fell back to old crappy Giants offensive line. Defense couldn't stop Philadelphia at all. And this is an Eagles team that is not great. They're poorly coached. They're kind of floundering along. And you let them look like world beaters. Those look like the 2021 Eagles. That didn't look like, or the 2021, 2022 Eagles. That did not look like the Eagles of the last year. So that's the way to regain your mojo is just play a terrible Giants team. Yeah. So it's just frustrating to watch.
It'll be interesting to see with the Eagles because they really switched up what they've been doing. They were passing the ball a lot, and in this game they ran the ball a ton. And I'm wondering if they go that direction the rest of the year because I know that Hurts is really struggling, or if it's just a game flow thing where they were up so big they just kept running the ball and it was working. It's really hard to say, but like they should have either beaten the Eagles or at least not lost 28-3. I mean, and this kind of raises the question, does Brian Daboll need to go? Like, does he, like, do they need a fresh start? Do they need to kind of think about that? I mean, definitely at the end of the season, he's probably gone.
Yes.
But do they need to shake it up mid-season? I don't know, but yeah, you're right. There's a lot more problems than just Daniel Jones. It's kind of endemic to the Giants, and they made a lot of wrong moves in free agency. They haven't drafted well. It's really, I mean, the defense. I still have faith in the defense, but they're going to kind of give up after a while after watching the offense suck so bad.
I think John Mara is going to watch what the Jets did in the same building as them and see that maybe firing a coach midseason is not the way to go. But I do think at the end of the year, if the year progresses the way we think it will, then Brian Daboll will be another coach who will be fired after 3 years? It's the coaches that they've had after Tom Coughlin. Tom, we're so sorry. As a Giants fan, I am so sorry that we ran you out of there after 2015.
Yeah, everybody wanted him gone. Everybody wanted him gone.
We've had since then, Ben McAdoo, Pat Shurmur, Joe Judge, and Brian Daboll. 4 idiots right there. That's who we got to replace Tom Coughlin.
The Mount Rushmore of bad coaches.
Look, Tom Coughlin's not dead yet, but he is haunting the Giants.
Yes.
Let's move on to the Bills. They got off to a slow start, but they smoked the Titans in the second half. 27 unanswered points in the second half. Josh Allen connected with Amari Cooper for a touchdown. 323 yards passing. Defense looked a little bit better. Justin, you want to dive into the Bills, who are now 5-2 and looking like solid playoff contenders?
Yeah, so I do predictions before the games, and this was the only one I got almost exactly right. The other two I completely whiffed on because the Giants and Jets are so like Heckle and Jekyll, or no, sorry, not Heckle and Hyde. Jekyll and Hyde. Heckle and Jekyll. Yes. Crows. I'm showing my age here, right? So, yeah, I mean, the Bills, I thought they were going to start slow. The Titans have actually played a lot of teams really close this year. They've got a decent defense. Their offense, not so great. Luckily for them, they didn't have Will Levis to completely screw it up early, but Mason Rudolph's not much better. So, the Titans were actually up by 3 at the half, and then they got outscored 27-0. So defense for the Bills looking a lot better. They got Big Ed Oliver back in the middle, helped shore up that run defense. And the best part for the Bills is it doesn't look like they've got a lot to worry about in the AFC East.
Frankie, thoughts?
Yeah, Justin's right. I mean, we thought this was going to be one of the best divisions in football. It's a joke now, especially with how the Jets and Dolphins have fallen off. Bills are going to run away with this thing. I was also shocked at how bad they looked in the first half, but we saw that earlier in the year in their first game. I think it was against the Cardinals where they struggled all in the first half, and then eventually they found their footing. Same thing here. I mean, against a bad Tennessee team, it was really underwhelming, but then eventually they got it going. Adding Amari Cooper is huge. I mean, when you have a great quarterback like Josh Allen, and now you give him a legit number one receiver to replace Stephon Diggs, I mean, it certainly can't hurt this Bills team. I don't know where they rank right now in the AFC. I still think that Kansas City's better. I still think that Baltimore's better. But you look at this offense, and you still think that this is a great football team. But for Allen and Lamar, I'm thinking I both realized it doesn't really matter what happens in the regular season. Lamar might win a third MVP. Allen, might have another great year. No one cares about that anymore. What they want to see from both of these guys, how you do against the Chiefs in the postseason. Can you get to a Super Bowl? That's what matters at this point for both of these guys. We know what they can do in the regular season. The question is, can they step up in the playoffs? And we'll see what happens going forward. But a lot of questions left to be answered on that front.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap up with our players of the week. So I've got Jahmyr Gibbs, 159 total yards, 2 touchdowns last week. Frankie, who you got?
Got to go with the consensus MVP favorite, Lamar Jackson, 281 yards, 5 touchdowns, as the Ravens put up 41 on Monday Night Football.
5 TDs. That's a solid freaking day. Justin?
Saquon Barkley, revenge game, just completely annihilated the Giants. 176 yards rushing. He was so good, they were trying to get him to go back out. He's like, nah, we'll let the other guys get some time. I'll sit here and enjoy the win here.
All right. Well, that about does it. We will be back next week. It will be after Game 3 of the World Series, so I'll be pretty wiped out, I'm sure. So I might have Frankie take over as my host tomorrow, next week. We'll see. But ladies and gentlemen, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Justin will be back with the 2-minute previews later on in the week. The last few weeks that we've done this, there's been a major trade or like a major they fired Saleh in 2 weeks ago, and then last week it was Devontae Adams, like literally during the show. So I'm sure within 5 minutes we'll have big news about Aaron Rodgers getting released or something like that. But all right, we will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.